as a propulsion engineer, I do more than that, but that's my title, I guess you could say. I've branched out into many things other than being a propulsion engineer, but I guess from the engineering side, I get to do a lot of analysis work if it's some first order stuff, getting some back of the envelope calculations, and I hand it off to the experts that can do the real number crunching. But I do a lot of conceptual design of whatever projects we're working on. End up doing a lot of systems engineering work, and I'm a test engineer. I'm I guess you could say, along the lines of being the type of propulsion engineer that we've been hiring, you kind of got to be a jack of all trades as an engineer. You got to have a good grasp on how hardware works and how things interact with each other, and because of that, you end up having a good grounding in systems engineering and integration, and so that's kind of forms the foundation for what I do. And but since I have the people skills to be able to do more than just that, I've ended up falling into other roles like business development and coming to conferences and talking to people like you. And I do a lot of proposal writing nowadays. And now that I'm in a larger business, I was in Orion Propulsion before we got bought by Dynetics, and I used to be the one helping pursue those SBIR work and other types of small business work. But nowadays, as a larger business, I'm actually hoping to, foster partnerships with the small businesses to help them get their work, and that's actually been quite rewarding so far. I haven't won any of those yet, but there's plenty out there pending right now, and it's been really fun just to build new relationships and meet new people with different technical backgrounds, and I get to branch out from the things that I do in my day-to-day work. So I guess in a nutshell, that's what I do at Dynetics. But I'm also, sometimes I get pulled off into little technical interchanges with people like Tim and Tim Pickens and other people where we have a great new idea. Let's throw a bunch of ideas on the whiteboard and see if we can make this work before we go do a proposal. And sometimes those things lead to really cool projects. And I feel pretty honored to be part of that process, and it's been a lot of fun.
You were involved also in educational outreach.
Yes, sir. I started doing educational outreach. I was feeling a burning need to give back to the community when I was younger. When I was in college, I was a counselor at Space Camp in Huntsville, and so I got a little bit of training and grounding in that kind of work by doing that business line, and expand from the people skills from that and be able to try to relate to all age groups. I was also involved with the chapter of National Space Society, HAL 5. And I've been involved with HAL 5 since I moved to Huntsville in 1995, as well as SEDS and everything associated with that. And HAL 5's always been in part of the outreach thing. And it used to be when I was much younger, I was watching the older ones, people doing the outreach and seeing how they did everything. And there's a point that came around about 5 years ago that HAL 5 decided to, we decided we wanted to host an ISDC again. And as part of that, we discovered that we needed to get out there and do more things in the community to get more visible, to start getting the relationships with people to come to the conference. And part of that was, hey, we ought to expand our educational outreach. And when the HAL 5 Executive Committee decided to do that, they, in absentia, voted me to be the education guy. And so next thing I knew, I'm an officer in HAL 5 for education. And the first event I ever did was the Sally Ride Science Fair, and with HAL 5 in 2007. And it didn't have a suitcase rocket back then to do anything with, but we made a nice display. My wife and I made a great collage display, and we took it out to that, and we had a great table, and we brought Tim Piggins' daughter's, Sarah's rocket bike, and had girls be able to sit on that. And that led to other things like the astronomy days at Von Braun Astronomical Society, where we'd set up tables, and that led to more things. In 2008, I was surprised with an award for the Huntsville Association of Technological Societies hats, one of the Professional of the Year's awards for my educational outreach activities. Actually, my wife and I were co-honorees of that award, and so it was kind of things that kept building upon themselves, and you build upon successes, and you get better at what you're doing, and you learn your lessons and things that worked and things that didn't work, and by the time I was able to come full-time to be a worker at Orion Propulsion again, everybody was aware that I was doing that. And basically, Tim Pickens handed me the suitcase rocket and said, "All right, go have fun." So I started going out to Boy Scout events and firing off the suitcase rocket and taking it to schools. And when we did the Urie's Night in 2010, we went to Girls Incorporated as part of that event and fired off the Bigelow thruster for that, and that was a lot of fun because I really enjoy it when I get to go to the small, so the kind of the more disadvantaged neighborhoods that don't have the access to the resources that Huntsville really has. And it's sad that the dividing line where you have the poor neighborhoods versus the neighborhoods of the children of engineers that have access to this kind of wealth of knowledge from an early age. And then you go to these neighborhoods where these kids' families have no idea of these things that are going on and outside their little worlds, and so you get to go see the spark in their eyes and hope that you can encourage kids like that hey, you can go to college too, and there are ways, and so I feel it's been a very rewarding experience, and I guess I'm going on since 2007 combined between the HAL 5 efforts and the Orion Dynetics efforts. I hope I'm getting better at it, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm very passionate about it, and I feel that more people need to be doing this, and I always tell people that kids can tell sincerity versus insincerity very quickly, and if you're trying to show them something that's just a box you're checking off in the curriculum and you don't have any passion for it, they see that and they don't pay attention. They say, oh, the teacher doesn't like it, so why should I like it? And I was just telling kids earlier, the SEDS kids earlier about this out when we did the suitcase rocket demo, and I said, it doesn't have to be rockets, it doesn't have to be space, it just has to be what you're passionate about. And if you're passionate about something and you know something about it and you can talk to people, then you could do it. And anybody could do it if they have those three qualities. And so just like with what you're doing with your video blogs and everything, I want to see more and more of this go on. And I gave a presentation at ISDC during the education track this year about the HAL 5 educational activities, and that was one of the things I had noticed that over the years I go to different ISDCs and I'd meet people from other chapters, and I'd hear people lamenting that there's just nothing going on and they can't do this, can't do that, and I get frustrated with these people and say, you could do this. This is easy. You just got to be motivated, and you go out there and do it yourself. You can call NASA up and get educational material from them if you wanted to, and show up and talk to the kids. The kids like to see everyday people, and so I hope that people could take a little bit out of that. And I'm slowly preparing my educational presentation for the middle schoolers I'm going to be talking to this coming next few days after this conference, and I've taken a lot of these things in mind, especially when I sat in the discussion yesterday about educational outreach, and it was really refreshing to see all these different approaches people are taking. So, yes, I'm very passionate about it. So.
Now, for those of our viewers who don't know, the HAL 5 Society is the Huntsville, Alabama chapter of the National Space Society, and the ISDC is the International Development for
International Space Development Conference. And I apologize.
Which is the National Space Society's annual conference.
Correct. And as most engineers, I'm laden in acronym soup, and so I apologize to the general audience who do not know the acronyms.